People, welcome back to another episode of the Jagged Edge. This is number 73 for us. This is number 74. I lied. This is 74. Welcome back. This is Ian here along with Chris.
Hi. No,
Hey.
73 is easily forgettable. That could also be known as AKA the show that Chris lost his shit. because I kind of did.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. I went off last week.
Oh, man.
Sony and Warner Brothers pissed me right off.
It was a week full of bad news.
And Apple.
Yeah, it was a week. It was so much bad news carried over. It's like it haunted us in this week. I'm actually looking because I know we'd saved our notes as 74, but the top is listed as 73. It's just.
Oh, is that okay? So I made that mistake. Okay.
But no, it shows. It's haunted us. That's the point. It stayed with us. Hey, I'm glad we're out of last week. I'm thrilled because there's much better things that happened this week. It's like we had a bit of a like a crimp in the hose, but there's Marvel news. There's gaming news. We got movie. Hey, it's all over the place.
Lots of both of those. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, right at the top. I was so happy when you texted this. I know, and you caught this before I did. I didn't send a note back to you, but I had a big old smile on my face. That is the Captain Marvel trailer. We got it.
Finally,
right?
There it is.
We've been having all the hints. And we know that this is going to be such an important character to everything that's been happening in Marvel right now, especially if you've just checked out Avengers. And, there's a lot of subtle things about this trailer that are really important, confirming a lot of things that we've seen in screenshots and, some of the photo ops and things like that we've seen already. But there's some pretty cool subtleties here I think it's good to look into. So I know a couple of things that stood out to me when I saw this. One is... First of all, I love how we're automatically based in the time frame of this week, the 90s, with Carol Danvers crashing through a Blockbuster video roof. That's great. If you notice, what did you think those lights shining on her were about at the end? If you notice, before they transition out of the Blockbuster scene, she's kind of standing up out of the debris, reorienting. But there's a group of circular spotlights hovering around her.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's significant or if that's going to lead to the chase, because this is immediately pretty.
You mean while she's in the air?
No. She's crashed through the building already, and then she's recovering, and she's sort of slowly turning around. If you look carefully,
I'm looking.
Yeah, there's like a group of lights, and see, it's weird because we're already shown the outside of that frame when she lands, but there's nothing there. So it's almost like she crashed, then something shows up. I wonder if she was being pursued or...
Oh, yeah. Okay, I saw him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that is anything. I think that's just maybe a car going by and illuminating the room a little bit.
Maybe.
That's okay. That's what I think that is.
Cool.
Yeah, this trailer did not hit with the bang that I think a lot of people were thinking.
Right.
But I think the hype around this is pretty huge considering how much talk has been around Captain Marvel
Big time.
As far as the MCU is concerned. There's a lot of history of this character. They've been around since the early 60s. They're obviously going to have to condense a lot of this as well. They should and need to, because there's a lot of crazy stuff for Captain Marvel, including the time when she gave birth to her own son, who then went into the future and impregnated her with himself.
Oh, my God.
Right. So there's a whole list of things Captain Marvel will never do in the MCU, and I think that was probably on the top of the list. But it's a pretty cool character, and in the last several years, she's really taken off in the Marvel universe, and she makes complete sense,
right?
To be brought in this capacity to the MCU. I thought the trailer was fine. I love the part where she punches the old lady.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of theories going on about this, a lot of craziness. A lot of it is Captain Marvel a Skrull?
Right.
So and a lot of people, I think, like myself, are thinking that the old lady's a Skrull.
Same. That's what I was thinking.
But then some people are like, well, maybe Captain Marvel's the Skrull.
Right.
And here's the main reason why I give that any credence at all. Because the way she winds up that punch,
right,
as powerful as she is, she's going to knock that lady's head clean off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she did not look like she was pulling that punch one bit.
Right.
So maybe that's even more of an argument that it was a Skrull and she knew that it would be able to survive that punch.
Yep.
Not that Skrulls are known to be superhuman or super endurance, except for specific ones.
Right.
Like the Super Skrull. But at the same time, Skrulls, when they take a form, are supposed to take the abilities of that form. So
right.
wouldn't a Skrull turn into an old lady be as strong as an old lady? I don't know. We're going to find out.
No,
but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we could. I was just saying that's something that could be looked at. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But,
so that's the thing. I don't think she is a Skrull though, and obviously that's the thing that's been coming up. And they've been saying this even well before some of this, like, who's a Skrull? This person's a Skrull. That person's a Skrull. Do I think that one of the characters that we have met in the MCU to this point, do I think if they do introduce a huge Skrull story, will at least one of them be a Skrull? I think at least one of them will.
Sure.
Is it someone who's been a Skrull the whole time? That I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's going to end up being a thing. I don't like a lot of that though. You know, I'm kind of iffy on the whole Skrull thing. Who's a Skrull? Who's not a Skrull? For someone who's been implanted in a Skrull as a Skrull for years.
Right.
Although they're really leading up to that, because I mean this takes place in the 90s, and so they're really implanting Skrulls having been around for a while.
We also get a really good hint here. Speaking of the Skrulls, I'm thinking of the Shield being infiltrated. Course, and we've seen it before with Hydra and stuff like that. The thing I'm automatically wondering for this is Shield dealing with its own internal issues during it.
Right.
I get the feeling that we're going to get some insight into how Nick Fury loses his eye.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's a little scene in the trailer that really jumped out to me that solidifies that. There's like an autopsy going on.
Yep.
And Nick Fury is sitting there with the gun, but he's got an ice pack on his eye, so I'm like, I wonder. So.
Some theories have actually said that one of the people who's going to be seen as a Skrull is Nick Fury, and one of the ways that he has to end up proving himself to not be a Skrull is he gets poked in the eyeball.
There you go.
I don't know. There's all kinds of theories. People love the Skrull thing, and they love theorizing about it. Captain Marvel's got so many different parts of her history in the comics. There's a lot to play from. I think they're going to end up nodding to some of it. I think they're going to take a lot of the highlights, but they're definitely going to streamline this character.
Right.
And again, we're not even getting a quote-unquote origin story. Although it does look like Amnesia is playing a role in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. One thing that we saw is that her with the rest of that group that all have similar suits. I cannot remember their names at the time or at this moment. They are all villains from the comics. So I definitely think they turn on her, and that's how she ends up being on Earth without her memories. I mean, it looks fine. A lot of people, most people seem to have liked it, but a lot of people were like, this is kind of underwhelming. And I agree with that as far as, God, it's following Infinity War and Ant-Man. I mean, it doesn't get much more flashier or bigger than those.
No.
The special effects, obviously, in Ant-Man take precedent, but I think there was all but just a few minutes of Infinity War that didn't have some kind of altered effect in it in the film. So, I think this is going to have more of a laid back, not so much gritty, but down to earth 90s feel and style to it. It's not going to be as flashy. That being said, there's definitely going to be moments of it going nuts with Captain Marvel cosmic awesomeness.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be a mix of two. It'll be fine. This one definitely, I think, has been built up a little bit more than most. So it does have a high bar to it, but this trailer looked pretty good. I thought it introduced things well enough.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to it more than I was. Also, a lot of people are talking about Brie Larson and her lack of range when it comes to her acting style. And I don't know a lot of her work, but from what I know of Captain Marvel from the comics and the role she's playing, in the kind of character that this is going to end up being,
right.
I think she's looking just fine.
Oh, dude, for sure. I that's the last thing I'd complain about at this point.
Well, but a lot of people are.
Yeah. So it's important to mention, hey, but it's funny. We have these sort of like late minute panics or like late hour panics when it comes to these big releases and stuff. I think everyone's just wants to continue the same great successful vibe we had coming off Infinity War. We everyone's sort of, we seem to sense that this is a really, really special time, not just in terms of film, but in terms of what we're doing in comic film. And this is going to be something we look back years from now, and it's going to be sort of like a little special egg of time with the films, and we want to make sure all of them are awesome. So,
well, you know, I think people tend to look at MCU, and I think this is rightfully so, as, you know, when's the bubble going to burst?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it really hasn't for the movies, but as far as the MCU as a whole, I just want to remind people of Inhumans.
Yep.
We've had a couple burst bubbles.
Oh yeah, they're not invincible.
That have one being the biggest stinker. If we're gonna get into Marvel TV here in just a little bit, but yeah, I think this is gonna be fine. You know, I'm not worried about it in the slightest.
All right, cool deal, man. Well, we're gonna get into some Marvel TV, like you were saying, and that comes in the form of Netflix. We have another trailer for Daredevil. This is the Daredevil.
Was that just last week, or was it the week before?
For what this trailer release?
The 30-second teaser that we got, where he was being all super Daredevil emo.
I thought that was just a week ago.
Was it just a week ago?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Feels like it, but
why did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh man, it's I mean, the tagline for this, I remember I read this before I watched it, was let the devil out. I'm watching this, I'm wondering, man, did the Punisher get to this guy a bit?
Punisher and Batman get to him.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
I actually
Punisher.
I was on break the other day. I'm like, oh my god! I was thinking about this. If Batman and Daredevil got together, you know they would like get into competitions. He was more broody and an emo.
Oh, they would. They would.
Who had it worse? I lost both my parents to the Joker, and Daredevil would be like, I lost my father. The gangsters killed him after he didn't throw the fight like he was supposed to, and then I lost my eyesight, Batman, and I'm not rich.
We're heading into Super Edge territory. Super Edge.
No, Batman would be all jealous because Daredevil's gotten so much worse. He's gotten so much worse.
Oh man, hey, I'm gonna check this out, of course.
Every time Batman would be like, I had to fight the Joker and Harley Quinn and the Penguin tonight, and every time Daredevil would be like, I can't see, Batman, and I'm not rich. That would be his answer every time.
Oh, this is we have
the Joker look, Batman.
Oh,
because I couldn't tell you.
Oh my gosh, Chris.
He does sound just like him though in these trailers. He sounds next to the whole Christian Bale Batman. He's like, the whole thing, the darkness with the darkness.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're ready.
I'm done.
Yeah, I hope you're ready for the dark, because we're going to be dealing with a lot of that this season. I mean, it obviously from the trailer cuts, this is something that's looking a lot edgier. We got a few, scenes of action flashes and stuff like that, but not a whole lot that's necessarily rolling the whole season out on the red carpet for us. We'll see soon, and we'll be doing a review on this one. So,
that's great. October 19th.
Yeah.
By the way. That was the whole point of the trailer, really, outside of to show us more emo Daredevil.
So there you have it. But no, we'll be tuning in. I don't have a whole lot more to say about that one, man, until we actually catch it.
Well, no, because that was less than a minute long too.
Yeah,
there's not much more to say. I mean, he's Daredevil, except for he's like darker Daredevil, which is kind of crazy. But if you've watched the Netflix shows, but
right.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna have my kitty cat with me, so if it gets too sad, I'll just pause it and pet my cat. maybe turn on some cartoons. So,
you might need to. Oh boy. Oh, cool. Well, following on the news from Marvel, this stuff coming out of Marvel Studios. Now, we got some pictures that came out from Spider-Man Far From Home. This is going to be after the next Avengers film. And we know Spidey's going to be one of the main forces kicking this one off. And yeah, I was checking these out. Now, these were taken in, what was it, New Zealand? No, not New Zealand. I'm sorry. This was a scene that was shot in Prague.
No, Prague.
Prague, yeah. And this was with Tom Holland and Zendaya, I believe, who is MJ. Got that right? Arc.
Yes, MJ. Michelle,
right?
AKA MJ.
Right. Not the, well, at least so far we've seen, not the classic MJ we know. I don't know.
They have not actually pulled the trigger on that, but that's all right because fans already have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so some images came out on Twitter. Most of the ones I have here are from Zendaya Media, her Twitter page.
Right.
Which could not look more gaggingly diva than they were. But the important thing about this, the best part of these images was the shirt of the crew member who was wearing the shirt, "Good people drink good beer."
Yeah.
In all honesty. Did you notice that too?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
I like that guy's shirt.
Good people drink.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Honestly, the biggest talking point of this has to do with how people reacted.
Right.
This brought up the whole gender/race swap stuff, and most, yeah, I'd say pretty much all of them. They did some kind of alteration to the key members of Spider-Man's life.
They did.
Homecoming, and of course, this was talked about before Homecoming came out. Zendaya has been seen as the person who's taking the MJ role. They've even referred to her as MJ at the end of the movie, but her name is Michelle. But they didn't actually pull the trigger on her saying that she's MJ,
right?
And her name isn't Mary Jane,
right?
And are they going to do that? No, probably not. But it certainly seems like she's the love interest. I get it,
right?
She comes from a comic book. She's a fleshed out character because she's been around for 50 years. But look, Mary Jane is a fairly one-dimensional character,
right?
Despite her role as girlfriend / love interest / wife,
right?
/ damsel in distress,
right?
But it is her iconic look that sells it for a lot of people, and I get that. But I don't care.
Yeah,
honestly. And if they said, that's Mary Jane, I don't care.
Same.
I get it, and I think the last time we talked about this, because unfortunately this is not the only time we've talked about this.
Right.
I think it said pretty much the same thing.
Right.
I understand where people are coming from. The red hair, the fair skin, the super sexiness of Mary Jane. I mean, in most incarnations of the character, she's a model,
right,
or an actress, or both. So I understand, but this is a very different world, and I'm fine with this. Zendaya in herself could play the role of a model / actress just fine.
Sure.
She's a very pretty young lady. This character can do all the things that character needs to do. Again, I understand it because her iconic look is basically the highlight of the character, but really, I'm not trying to get all SJW on it. I just don't really think it matters.
Yeah. For the scope of the story, Marvel's telling, and as far as what they've done, I think they've done so right so far. That is not putting overemphasis, overfocus, trying to rope the entire story into this, or saying, look at how much these characters have changed, or look at how these are just accessorial things to the rest of the story. And I think if they can continue to handle that with some respect and integrity, dude, I got zero quips about it.
I mean, I honestly think it's most interesting when the Spider-Man character has his love interests are superheroes or supervillains.
Same.
I think that's the most interesting contrast. So, I mean, if you're a huge Mary Jane fan, I get, you have a right to be upset whether if they had a perfect person looking like her and they had a freckle wrong. You get every right to be upset.
Sure.
But I'm just not carrying here. But yeah, it exploded. People went ape shit over this whole topic all over again.
Yeah.
It's all right. He's Spider-Man. He's Peter Parker, but he's not. This is not Earth 616. This is the MCU. It's okay.
Right.
It's all right.
Oh man. Well,
you have the right to feel the way that, but you're wrong.
Yeah. But Will you say that about the next shot we had? There's another interesting photo that came out. This is from the Russo brothers.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah, and it was kind of cryptic. This was based off their Twitter. They gave an image, and all they said on this image was, "Look hard."
I can't. I tried for a little while. Honestly, not as long as I'd like to. I
Right.
don't have time to stare at a picture like that for
Right.
that long. I just don't. And I usually like little teasers like that.
Sure.
Did you? Were you able? You probably didn't have a chance to either, right?
No, I didn't. I really didn't.
It's interesting.
Yeah, the first thought, I mean, like I said, I just taken like a quick swipe at it. The only thing that it come to mind for me, the thing that's still sticking with me about all this is one word, and that was from Doctor Strange himself, in game. So
yeah, some people pointed to that too. I think what we're supposed to be looking for is some kind of incarnation of word or words. That is the title for Avengers 4.
Right.
And you can certainly see there's some things shaping letters in there.
There are. There's some contours and letter forms. Yeah.
You would not be the only person. A lot of people are pointing to Endgame. Some people pointed to Last Stand. And I'm like, I don't think Marvel would ever take that road, considering one of the worst comic movies to come out is called X-Men: The Last Stand. So yeah. I don't think they'd do that. I think they would avoid that.
It was The Last Stand.
Well, it should have been The Last Stand. Yeah. All
right.
Yeah, that's fun. They're having fun.
No, they are.
Can enjoy that.
And let's face it, any bone they throw us at this point with the Avengers will generate insane hype. And I say, you know what, go for it. You guys have earned it. That was the best movie I've seen this year. So
it's one of the best movies I've seen ever.
Period. Cool.
Ever.
Still rolling on with Marvel news. This is with the MCU television. Now, this is going to expand a whole bunch with the Disney streaming service that's on the way. Also with the first of the TV film crossovers we have and the new ABC TV show. This is a report coming out of Variety just this week that Disney and Marvel Studios are working on multiple TV miniseries from the streaming station. We're talking Loki and Scarlet Witch shows. These got specifically mentioned in the article, but also stating that Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen are going to be portraying their characters for the shows. They're going to be about 6 to 8 episodes each. Other characters expected to show up too. No other official announcements along with that. How about that?
That's huge. And I won't, I'll go into why that's huge after we're done with the whole section.
Yeah.
But the fact that Tom Hiddleston and what's her name? What Olsen?
Elizabeth.
Which Olsen? Elizabeth. That's right. I know it's not the Olsen twins, but those are her sisters, by the way. If you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's the Olsens. Yeah, she's their younger sister.
Crazy.
I mean, that's huge. I think what we're looking at, if I can just kind of pop off on that right away.
Sure.
I think we're looking at a Loki prequel series.
Right.
Because I think he's very dead. They've come out and said as such.
Right.
Loki's dead. He's very, very dead. He's not even snap dead. Well, he's next snap dead.
Yeah.
Dead, but
we mean dead.
He's dead. He's dead.
Gamora dead.
They could do a few things with Scarlet Witch. And ironically, thinking about character deaths, to which there have not been many of them, Scarlet Witch has had to deal with 2 of them.
Yeah.
With her brother and her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or whatever Vision. Well, they're not married. I'm sure you can't marry a robot. So, I would like to see them do a story with Scarlet Witch dealing with Vision not being Vision anymore. Now that the Soul Stone has been ripped out of his head, and I think that's going to end up staying that way, and he's going to be the Vision that we knew for years, where he was all white. He had all the same abilities, obviously, except for the shooting laser out of the... Well, maybe they do something about that too, but his personality's gone.
Right.
He has no personality. He was like that for a very long time in the comics, and it's been a contentious issue with her and him and Wonder Man, who I don't like that the MCU has basically gotten rid of him, although I understand it for story's sake. Simon Williams, whose personality Visions was based off of in the 616 universe. That's a whole huge aspect of that story that's not even existed in the MCU. That's fine, though.
Right.
But I could definitely see them doing a miniseries based off of that.
The cool part about it, it's one of the few links that we've seen actually built for a TV series. That is someone direct actor from the MCU reprising their role as that character in a show.
Right.
That's
right. Kind of interesting that it's come from the movies into TV.
Yes.
I thought it would be the other way around, but that's like you're going to get into that here in a little bit, I think.
Same. Yeah. The other part to mention this that's actually pretty important. Now, this is a distinction. So, the Disney streaming service shows, they're going to be produced by Marvel Studios, not by Marvel TV, right, as all the other MCU shows have been so far. And this without Kevin Feige taking an active role in the production of the streaming service shows themselves. That's a big deal.
And this issue still exists from the infighting that's gone on between Marvel and the movie and the TV section that happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
Jeff Loeb, I believe it is his name, is the TV guy, and this is why we don't get the crossovers or the mentions or the nods that we should. We get little tiny things. The last of which was Sokovia being brought up a couple times in Iron Fist Season 2 as the origin for Typhoid Mary. It's that's all we got.
Yeah.
By the way,
that's it.
That's it. We get things like that. We get Roxxon in Cloak and Dagger, and that's it.
Right.
Which has been mentioned in previous movies. We don't get the crossovers that we should because of this. But now that's interesting because Kevin Feige's like, well, I'm going to do this over here on the streaming thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been going on for years. They're not playing nice with each other. They're not going to. At the same time, Marvel's like, well, okay, are the TV shows still making money? Are people still liking them? Like, yeah, they're making mad money. People love this stuff. So, why wouldn't they continue with it?
Right.
Are they gonna bridge this gap? Literally, I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna get our first crossovers. We're going to get TV shows meshing it with the movies.
Sure.
But it's coming from the other direction.
Right. And
it's disappointing, but at this point, we've been dealing with it for a while now.
It is. There's one other, I think, a little important tidbit to add on to that. That was as part of this whole issue we're looking at. The ABC is in production for about a new hour-long drama based off MCU, kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Not a whole lot that's known about the show so far, other than that it's going to be a team based on, a female team? Superpowers. Yeah. And it's written by Alan Heinberg, who's written for both DC and Marvel, but most notably did the Wonder Woman movie. Huh.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I think about TV shows that need to go on, Marvel TV shows, it's generic D-level superhero female team. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody remembers that comic.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, back in
that's what it was called, D-level female superhero team. This could be fine. I want them to pick very obscure characters.
Sure.
And use them. I do not want to see She-Hulk anywhere near this. She deserves, not only does she deserve her own show, if she was to be relegated to TV, she deserves her own movie.
She does. She really does.
Yeah, I don't want them picking. I could see them maybe taking Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Mockingbird, who was so wrongfully treated, and maybe throw in a couple others, and do something with that. That would be fun. Those are both, it's going to be female, but we don't know how many males are going to be in there. This is obviously going to be based on a team of superpowered females.
Sure.
So, grab them. They were great. Well, but Mockingbird doesn't have superpowers, but she was still so badass. Have you seen Mockingbird on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. yet?
No.
So good. Such a shame what happened there. Sure.
Cool. It's like, I'll go with it. It can work.
Yeah, I mean, they've openly said that they're going to be obscure. They're, very little known characters. There's plenty of them. I can think Turbo. You probably don't even know who Turbo is.
Nope.
Turbo was an interesting character. It was a suit that made her powerful. How she could fly. She had wind force based off of these huge fans that she had around her arms in various areas and stuff. But she shared the suit with her brother.
Right.
And that was an interesting thing. Until I think she didn't anymore for some reason, and that was just her. I get kind of a whole all-female hour-long, drama kind of Friends vibe. They all maybe live in a place and stuff. Whatever.
You're like, sure.
Sure.
Yeah. No, we'll
It
see
sounds
more
perfect.
about
It sounds perfect for ABC.
Cause family. No, I'm just playing.
No, I know. I do. I mean
I'm
that
just
though.
playing. No, I know. I know.
You have not watched enough Agents of Shield, I think, to understand the comic to its full extent. Because this is obviously going to be following that. I think season 6 is going to be their last season with Agents of Shield. This is going to follow after.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Sure. Moving on. Looking at bids, deals, large things that have flying around in the air, stuff being brokered. We talked about this some time ago when the Disney mergers and everything else were looming on the horizon. Some of the things we looked over. There were a few bids from the summer season that had not fully hit the brakes yet. One of those was Comcast bidding for the Sky acquisition. Now they were bidding against 20th Century Fox. Comcast won massive bid, $38.8 billion. Now, why this is important, besides the steep price tag, this is going to boost Comcast standing in the overseas market a lot, namely, especially the UK. They get the major television programming assets, and that's going to help them, hopefully, what they hope, at least compete against the likes of Netflix and Amazon, which, of course, have been investing a lot in original entertainment. It's a bit of a loss for Disney. They've been working on their own streaming service, of course, and Disney still does own Fox's 39% stake, and it remains to see, what's going to happen with that hold and everything there. I thought this was an interesting one too because during my time there, Sky was always a channel that I tuned into. There was it was called Sky One then, and I think some of the programs that they had on was like First Wave. It's like this sci-fi ongoing about like alien invasion. And a few others. It was fun. It was. I don't know where the programming's gone over the years, but I enjoyed it. It was a good set of programming, and heck, these are acquisitions that are kind of risky for groups like this. I know the price tag is way higher than what was initially projected because everything is done at such a huge level today. But I don't know. I want to say baby steps. I think the first thing a lot of people want to do is, or these huge entities is, let's go up against Netflix or let's immediately go up against Amazon. It's like, wait, build up your platform. You might have the cash behind it, but that doesn't mean everything. I think people are still going to be looking at these services based off of the content that you have, and I'm not in the boat right now of immediately assuming Comcast is a easy direct competitor. Not until you actually see content. So.
Yeah, I don't know much about this.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, just another important wheel there. The wheelhouse. When I can't help but when I see 20th Century Fox and Disney mentioned, I kind of look at all this because they roll in the same branch. And of course, it doesn't affect you and I as much immediately. Sky doesn't even have footing here in the U.S. at all, but it's something important to look at overseas at least. So.
Yeah, well, the mouse is going to become our overlord.
Oh, it will. It's in there. That's why I think your art that you did many shows ago for the mouse on Sauron's Tower was dead on. I love it. Exactly what's going to happen. One mouse to rule them all.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Speaking of Disney.
Speaking of that goddamn mouse.
This is Disney's short article here about Disney CEO Bob Iger.
This is the mouse.
The mouse man himself had some
mouse.
Big comments about actually Star Wars, its failures, what it's been running across lately, and also just giving us maybe some hints towards the future of it. This is an interview with the Hollywood Reporter. An interesting quote he made here. He was saying that in regards to Star Wars, I made the timing decision, and as I look back, I think the mistake that I made, and I take the blame, was a little too much, too fast. You can expect some slowdown, but that doesn't mean we're not going to make films. J.J. Abrams is busy making Episode 9. We have creative entities, including Game of Thrones creator David Benioff. I have that right? Benioff? Yeah.
I don't know.
and D.B. Weiss, who are developing sagas all of their own, which we haven't been specific about. And we are just at the point where we're going to start making decisions about what comes next after JJ's, but I think we're going to be a little bit more careful about volume and timing, and the buck stops here on that. Now, he was commenting. He was commenting solely on the film side. Star Wars.
Yeah, so that's why you didn't hear anything about Jon Favreau's Star Wars TV show or Star Wars Resistance or the comics or any of the games or anything. He was talking about film.
Right. And the as far as TV, other projects like that, they didn't have any comment on those. So.
Nothing to do with it. He was talking about film and the timing of the films. But what was interesting to note was what he didn't say.
No Rian Johnson.
Or Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
But,
dang it, I always do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. No Ryan Johnson.
No, he didn't mention anything about that. He didn't. He even specifically brought up the Game of Thrones guys and their trilogy and what JJ's doing and talking about the future, about what's going on. Yeah, we're doing this and we're doing this. And after this, we're going to talk about that. Not a word. Not one word about Rian Johnson and his trilogy, and that's because even though they won't say it yet, I think that's done. I really do. I really think that's done. I know that's very hopeful of me too. It's obviously very biased.
Yeah.
A lot of these things. There's a lot of talk in the months during the summer of Kathleen Kennedy getting booted out this month. The month is almost over, and that hasn't happened yet. The other thing, Rian Johnson's trilogy, the dude is poison. All right, that's the thing. And I've said, I said that shortly after Last Jedi.
Right.
He's not going to have a career anymore. I think he's got something in the bin right now that's going to be coming out in the next few months.
Right.
But no, dude's done.
He will carry that rep. This is the guy. Oh man.
Yep. He has one of two options, neither of which he has any control or choice in at this point. He is either the guy who killed the Star Wars franchise, or he's the guy who almost killed the Star Wars franchise. Those are his only options.
Man,
that is on his resume.
I'm getting this image of Rian Johnson as Doomsday was to Superman as Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson is to Star Wars
with his crazy why isn't there an I in there, or why isn't an I in
as Rian Johnson is to Star Wars. I just get these iconic images.
he's one of the two. We don't know yet. We don't know. We're gonna see what JJ can do. Although that's not looking good either. But or just because Luke Skywalker's not alive. They're doing a lot of heavy lifting to try to rectify that without, I get it. They're showing respect to what Rian Johnson did.
Sure.
Which is stupid. They really do need to do everything they can do to retcon that, but they're not. We'll see. We'll see. But
rough times.
Yeah, his trilogy's done. And even if they haven't said it yet, even if he doesn't know it, they're placating it.
Yeah.
It's done.
Lay the tracks.
Rian Johnson has to look at that and read that and be, just gulp.
That would make me do that.
Look what he didn't say. Talking about future Star Wars films. Well, he didn't say your name, did he?
Sometimes it's what's not said more than what is.
So, the whole thing about timing is BS. Ultimately, we get three freaking MCU movies a year plus TV shows. That's.
I think you got a little damage control there.
Now maybe, I think it is, and maybe that's because they didn't hire enough people. Because if they don't have the staff to push this stuff out, then maybe he's right.
Yeah.
Maybe your timing of once a year was off if you didn't have the support that you needed to do that. But is there fatigue? There's fatigue for crap.
Everybody's tired of that.
Yeah, that's. But look at Infinity War and tell me that it's just general fatigue for the franchise. No.
Thank you. Enough said, man.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Speaking of fatigue, I'm just switching over to the gaming side a bit. This is Beyond Fatigue. This is studio straight out shutting down. This is Telltale Games. This is really recent. I think just as you mentioned, this was just late yesterday.
Late yesterday.
Came out. Yeah, this was former employees were talking about social media that they no longer had a job. They let go of that day. To be specific, 250 employees were let go on Friday. No severance, no health coverage. All that stuff wraps up and ends because Telltale Games is closing its doors. It's really just down to a skeleton crew finishing up, mandatory obligations, loose ends for the company itself. Most of this is unknown. Now, let's taking a look at what they produced here. This is the group behind the Walking Dead games, also some of the Minecraft story and things like that. So yeah, I mean, definitely, this is a group that since its inception, I believe in 2017 when this was founded out in Cali, they definitely built up their following, and they've got more than a fan base behind them for what they built. But just looking at this as a whole, a lot of the larger gaming industry is going to do what they can to help relocate employees that get laid off, move to other companies. So those yeah. So the storytelling itself, the kind of artistry you get, that's going to be dispersed.
That was actually pretty touching.
It was.
People went into work yesterday expecting to have a job, and 250 of them, all but a skeleton crew, really,
right,
don't have a job. No severance. Their health care runs out in a week.
Yep.
I mean, these are people who recently even just moved over to join the company. They had, I guess, even had ads out for jobs.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. The industry is kind of like, well, hey, we got some spots open. Maybe you can fit in for this. I mean, for some company, if they're smart enough to try to keep the right people together, I mean, they could open up a whole new genre that company's working on.
Right.
That was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at these people helping each other out. All right.
Good stuff. But, hey, it's assumed that Game of Thrones, Wolf Among Us series, some of the stuff that was being worked on, that's not going to be getting any new content, new seasons added to those. Now, the upcoming Stranger Things game, that's canceled. It also sounds like the Minecraft story mode will be completed for Netflix, which was officially announced the past June. Now, besides all those things swirling around in the air, what's really up in the air is the rest of the season 4 of Walking Dead. This is the series that this is what Telltale really cut their teeth on. This goes back to 2012. The first season of this had super high acclaims, and it's really been their most popular series. Season 4 just came out this past August, with episode 2 coming out the 25th of this very month.
Yeah, that's Tuesday.
Yeah, it's right around the corner, but no confirmation at all on when the last couple episodes were even going to be released, finishing the series. Reps couldn't be reached for comment because, well, people were fired. And look, this is casting a bit of a shadow on the nature of episodic releases.
I have to just point out my note here a little bit. You didn't say that the way that I wrote it. Rep couldn't be reached for comment because the rep was fired.
Oh, for real? Yeah. There is no comment.
There's no comment. There's no one to comment. I'm sorry, that's horrible, but they don't even have PR.
Really, we can't say anything, okay?
I wonder if they went over to the PR rep's desk looking for the passwords to the Twitter account and everything. So we don't even know where it's at. We can't even post.
Hey, you take a lot of joy in this, man.
Well, I've seen situations like that before.
Right. No, I get it.
When people have been terminated, and the people who did the terminating did not really think things through. It's like, right. They kind of got keys to everything, don't they?
You're fired. Wait.
Or we didn't have access to all this stuff. So I think that's horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad to see, like I said, it's touching. I'm glad to see that industry professionals in the gaming industry are doing what they can to try to relocate these people to jobs.
Sure.
All right, look, this is going to probably be the rant of the day.
Here it comes.
All right, that's right.
5 minutes.
That's right. Strap yourself in.
Go.
Put your bib on. Here we go. It's you timing me.
Yeah. I am.
It has been a bad year for The Walking Dead. All right, and it's going to be worse. Season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead has not been all that good. In fact, it's looking to probably be the worst season out of both shows.
Right.
We'll see. There's 2 more weeks left. Jason and I are all on that. You can check out our reviews on that on the channel. The Walking Dead Season 8 landed with almost a whimper with how they wrapped all that up. The show in general has not been doing well. Okay? All right. It's a bad time for Walking Dead fans. Now, the Telltale Games are are canon for the comic universe. There's not a lot of that like that out there. There's a couple books that that have been written that highlight some areas that the comics kind of missed, but there's not a lot of expansive canon for the comic book universe. So this is kind of a big deal. When this came out, this was, I mean, I'm sure you probably, people who don't give a crap about these Telltale kind of games were like, whoa, this Walking Dead thing, which is huge right now, and they just came out with this awesome game, and like everybody's like, this game is the best thing since sliced bread. It's really, really good. Okay? And he just released season 4, which was planned to be the last season. All right? We're already having a bad year. Do not leave this season with 2 episodes left. Do not just leave it like that. I cannot believe that they would. These things are scheduled. They have release dates. I have to believe they're mostly, if not completely, done already. But when asked to comment or to try to find any information as to whether or not you're going to finish this season, it's unknown.
That's rough, man.
I cannot imagine that if they don't release it, that somebody else wouldn't. But, I mean, you know, look, and just the fact that they would unceremoniously dissolve their employees and terminate them the way that they did makes me worry about this. Because, I mean, look, you're right. Really, you know, you're basically asking everyone to bend over in one long line while you just shove a stick up their butts collectively. All right. So, but I mean, this series brought you to the game. I mean, it made you guys contenders in the gaming industry. Do not screw the Walking Dead fans. We've had a rough one. All right, and we're already losing Rick Grimes before the year's over, and a lot of people are forgetting that Maggie's leaving the show too. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't screw us. I can't stop you from screwing your employees, although you're pretty horrible for that. Do not screw the Walking Dead.
Lots on the line. Yeah, lots on the line.
Yeah, and look, you know, like I said, overall, Walking Dead fans have been having it pretty rough. The comic book fans, though, and I'm one of them. Right. We're pretty damn hardcore. Do not screw with us.
Or there will be retribution.
There will. People will follow these people's careers and will haunt them.
Vicious.
For the rest of their days. They really will. We're a good collective bunch of comic book fans. We enjoy our comic. We like to enjoy our comic that should have never been, but has been and has for years now been one of the best selling. But we don't like to be messed with. All right, because you know it was already a fight to even get the Walking Dead comic, let alone to keep it, to where it's been. You probably didn't know how precious of a thing you had in your hands when it came to what you were making. Don't screw it up.
Shot from the hip, Chris.
Now, all that being said, part of what particularly ticks me off about this was that I'm literally like I'm planning this. It's in my freaking schedule. I'm going to be doing Let's Plays of the whole damn series. And I am not going to do that if you don't end it. I mean, do you think I should still do it? I mean, seriously, I was potentially starting this next week.
No, I'd wait. I'd wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, should I do it if I'm missing the last 2 episodes of the whole damn series?
That'd be too painful. I wouldn't.
That'd be pretty bad. I was really looking forward to this. Like, seriously, I could potentially be starting this thing next week. I was going to do it a couple months ago, but it's just been hard with scheduling and all that.
Understood.
But, damn.
Sucks, man. By the way, good job. It was about 5 minutes on the head.
Yeah?
Dead on.
Whatever.
Well said.
I really hope that we find out in the next week where this is going.
Cool. Well.
Oh, dude, one last thing. Just saying the topic as a whole. A lot of this has happened because Telltale Games, a lot of people are pointing to the fact that they overspent on a lot of things, getting a lot of licenses. They spread themselves too thin. They had a huge lawsuit in the last year that I think they ended up losing.
Mm-hmm.
That was also going to cost them millions and millions of dollars. A lot of people were pointing to that as to why the company's
Bad
going
decisions. Yeah. No. That'll do it, man. You can sink any shit with a series of either shoddy investments or bad spending decisions or anything that puts off. What I'd read about that too. I think it was a lot of course correction trying to happen that just never fully materialized.
So don't go out the door making the biggest bad decision you could, which is to screw the last two seasons. There are probably hundreds of thousands of people. Well, maybe not hundreds. Yeah, no, I don't know. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who paid for season passes of season 4 of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, they won't get it.
Yeah. Well, no, don't. They may not get it. We don't know.
Jinx.
Don't say that.
Knock on the door. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
These Telltale games are very different games. I'm not quite sure what the development is on them. Obviously game mechanics are done completely differently, and because of that, graphics can be done completely differently. They're absolutely beautiful games. The art style for the Walking Dead ones have been phenomenal. They're just gorgeous. I'm not quite sure what the development cycle is or how it works for a type of game like this, but the fact that they have release dates is done.
Yeah.
And they're scheduled. I have to think that they're almost done.
So
I can't imagine, logistically speaking, why they would make such a bonehead move. But I'm saying that following a whole list of bonehead moves on their part. So I don't really know.
Cool.
But at the end of the day, it's horrible.
Going into the rest of the gaming, I do want to highlight some releases that we do know are in the pocket, and we do know they're coming. There is an important event happening this weekend if you haven't tuned into it. That's the Tokyo Game Show, TGS 2018. A whole lot of things that were mentioned at E3 have been followed up here. Resident Evil 2 Remake, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Kingdom Hearts 3 are all red hot. The demo lines for those people getting in line to check out gameplay. I know Sekiro, there was a screenshot someone posted from Twitter that had like a 140-minute waiting queue for it to get in. I think they've kind of flagged all those with little red tag that are really difficult to get in. But there's a lot here. There are a lot of trailers that hit this weekend. I really like the Mega Man 11 trailer. We got all 8 of the new boss guardians around. In fact, I'm going to go through them real quick. They are Pile Man, Rubber Man, Torch Man, Fuse Man, Block Man, Blast Man, Tundra Man, and Acid Man.
Those are the stupidest names ever, but that's what makes them great.
Welcome to Mega Man. Welcome to Mega Man.
That's right.
So those names tell me very little right now in terms of weakness. I'm looking at Tundra Man and Torch Man specifically. I said, weakness, maybe. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a run of this. When this hits, I'm really excited for it. The style of it still looks fantastic. Gameplay looks nice and sleek, and I really like what I saw from the gameplay trailer so far. Resident Evil 2, as well as Devil May Cry 5, still running at high frames and looking great. A lot of things following up from what we've seen announced already. Also, Kingdom Hearts 3 got maybe its final trailer. There's probably going to be another one, I think, before the release, but they got the box art that's going to be used. That was released. And also, yeah, I know, right? I know, right?
Here's a picture. What else can we show you to keep you interested in this game that's, was it 13 years?
Yeah. And then the potentially the final world reveal, Big Hero 6, it looks like that's the one that we hadn't seen yet, that they unveiled here. There's a bunch of gameplay from that section. I think that's available in the demo for people to check out on the show floor. But part of this new extended trailer they've released covers all those worlds, all the other stuff we've seen so far, from Tangled to Frozen to Toy Story. Some other stuff from Main Story we didn't see revealed yet, and of course the stuff I just mentioned with Big Hero 6. So, for some reason, now I want to point that out. This isn't irregular with Square. They tend to hold back on what's going to be the actual titling and what's going to be until they're right at release. That's not odd for them to do. They do that. You're with lucky
if you get a picture.
You are, especially if it's in Nomura's hands, but you get the idea. So, but
you got a picture and a trailer
and gameplay.
Does that still, was it January 19th?
Yes. 29th. I think.
Are we going to double or nothing?
Hey, that's over. You got your candy. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I won.
Did you eat them all? You ate them all, right?
Oh God, yes, they're gone. They're long gone.
Okay. And that is January 29th. Last but not least, up in gaming.
No, not least at all.
We were talking about a little something that is just flat out cool. Years and years and years ago, it wasn't that long ago. Looking at about 20 or so years ago.
That's 25 years ago.
25 years. The PlayStation 1 launched. Those of you who were, gaming during that time or remember the jump from 16-bit, most importantly going from cartridge to disc, this was a big deal. There were many classic games that came out here. This is way before we're not even talking PS2 or anything yet. But this kind of sparked an interesting discussion. Chris and I were just kind of batting around. Man, there's a lot that happened during the PS1 era. What are some games we could really narrow down and call the hits that should be here, that we should be seeing, that should be released?
Right.
And we
on this PlayStation Classic thing.
For sure. And we already know what's going to be pre-bundled. We know FF7 and Tekken 3, Ridge Racer 4. I cannot argue with any of those.
I can argue with a couple of them.
Okay, really? Wait. I'm going to stop there before I do the last two. FF7, Tekken 3, and Ridge Racer 4. Really?
I can argue with Ridge Racer 4. That should be Gran Turismo 2.
There's different fans. Depends what camp you were in. I wonder. Ridge Racer is pretty rad. The music, dude. It's all about the music in Ridge Racer. I don't know. I would argue one of the next two, Wild Arms and Jumping Flash. Actually, I'd argue both the next two. I played Wild Arms.
Yeah, I know what Wild Arms is. Wild Arms was pretty popular. I don't know what the hell Jumping Flash is.
Yeah,
I've never even heard of it before.
Same. I'd never touched that one. I argue it just on that. Maybe perhaps that's on my own bias, but
before you go into the list, there's something I want to talk about this PlayStation Classic a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. So, all right. What was your overall feel of the PlayStation Classic? What we saw from the little thing that PlayStation put out there with that little 2-minute video?
Yeah. The thing in me came in my head. Well,
yeah.
Nintendo did it. The others did. It's time we jump on this. Why not?
Yeah. No, I agree. Before Nintendo did theirs, though, I mean, there's been Atari and a couple others that have been doing this thing for a while. But this is almost blatant ripoff of Nintendo's success.
It is.
But then again, so was the PlayStation. So
yeah,
there's a little bit more to that story. But I mean, what do you think though? Do you think it's going to be 45% of the size? It looks just like the original console. Anything that stick out to you about the hardware?
I was looking. As far as what I saw in the back, if I remember in the original PS1, there were more options, like if you wanted to do like a VCR hookup and stuff.
Yeah.
They've really scaled this down and removed all the extra stuff that's just obsolete today.
Yeah, it's just HDMI and the USB power connection. That's about it. Which is very similar to what the Nintendo ones do.
Yep.
Which probably tells us that even though they did not give us any capabilities to upgrade or download other games, which I think is a mistake. It looks like you're probably going to be able to hack this thing just like the NES ones. The controllers connect in. There's two of them that come with the console. They connect in via USB. So if you want to use your old controllers, you're going to need a converter, which they do exist, and I think they are pretty cheap.
Right.
On the web. But I think one of the more interesting things is that it looks like those memory card slots work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And hey, I still have my memory cards. Yes, they still work.
I just came across mine not too long ago, actually.
Yep. That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty cool. That you could use a completely different game, completely different system, and put your memory card in and start playing your old Tekken 3 game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think ultimately it's a mistake. I kind of mentioned this a moment ago. Ultimately, it was a mistake that you make this thing that does not actually take discs.
Right.
A lot of people want that. I
Right.
get it. It's more of an homage to the classic system than it is to be a functional multi-disc kind of console. I get that, but $100.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of that price point?
Reasonable-ish. Reasonable. I mean, for as far as what you're getting, I was a little miffed about the whole disc issue missing myself, but I want to see if there's a little bit more you get, with pre-launch here. Sure. This is something I don't see dipping down to 50. I mean, of course, but
No,
I'm fine with
I
that.
think an 89.99 price point would have been a little bit better. $100 for this thing just seems a little steep. And
Hmm.
yes, I know if you just look at the games alone, you're paying $5 a game. But in all honesty, you can get a lot of these games for cheaper than that. You are getting two controllers. What do you think of the fact that they are not DualShock Rumble controllers?
Fine with that.
Are you fine with that?
I
See,
am.
I was never a big analog fan to begin with, but I was surprised to see that they went that route.
Yeah,
I think that obviously does limit some of your games.
it does.
That's it. When we went through the list, and boy, did we go through a list. We had to keep that. We had to keep that in mind, and we had to talk about that with a couple games because some games can't really be played without the analog.
Right, right.
So I was a little surprised to see that. Yeah, I get it though.
Yeah. So, all that aside, with the controllers and whatnot, this is a really fun walk through memory lane. I think looking at what's important to mention here, what games are historic, and I think part of the difficulty in looking at that is really removing your own rose-colored lenses, trying to look at this in an unbiased way about games that really deserve that spot. And man, I had to look at a few. I know, I would have loved to have put Marvel superheroes on this list because of not just what that did for the fighting game community, but the way that launched crossover games. But I can't really attribute that to PlayStation alone. That had a lot of other platforms involved that were equally or more important than PlayStation. So
like we mentioned, Sony's announced it's going to have 20 games. They've announced 5. You guys can all relax. we picked the other 15. Sony, you can send us a check. We got your winning lineup right here.
We got your back. This is how it should be.
And depending on which region you're looking at, you're looking at about 1,400 to 1,800 games that came off the PS1, over 4,000 if you count all versions and all regions. We got to narrow down to 20 for you.
All right. So without further ado, here we have it. You heard the 5 earlier that are already prepackaged. We're going to go through those other 15.
Yep.
Top of the list, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Can I say one other thing?
Yeah.
All right, a little bit about how we made this choice. The choices were made on, obviously, like we said, some factors were without the analog, you can't even play it. A diversity of games for the system, while at the same time trying to pick games that were obviously critically important as, headliners for the system, along with diversity. But at the same time, games that we thought were really important to us, as well as to the system as a whole. Okay. And of course, now you just said, and this is pretty much a no-brainer, I think. And the next 5 or so are Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
It is a no-brainer.
Followed by Resident Evil 2, another duh. Yeah.
Yep.
Survival horror. I think of the PlayStation 1 era. My mind goes to this game instantly, and it earned the acclaim, I think, to have that title.
It's a shame that Resident Evil 1 doesn't fit under this, but
right.
When you've only got 20 slots and you got to pick a game, which we have in a few cases, that one game to represent the franchise or even a whole genre.
Right. Right.
That's definitely Resident Evil 2 is the game.
Metal Gear Solid. Definitely in terms of stealth games. Personally, this was my intro into these. I didn't even know Metal Gear even had a history, and that it was an old Nintendo game before I played this. But
that's amazing. I knew that.
I didn't.
Played it.
Yeah. Also, the DARPA chief, matching similar to my dad's name, but that's another story. So I thought that was fun. Paul Rappa the Rapper. Oh man,
it belongs there. Some people aren't going to agree with that, but it belongs there.
Yeah, man,
it really, really does.
Paul Rappa the Rapper. You think DDR games and stuff we have this today, and Guitar Hero, the music genre, a lot of that has basis here. Same with this next one to mention, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
See, this is interesting because this is almost a dead art now too.
It's true. It's died out a lot. They've tried to revive that a bit. I know at E3 they had some BMX stuff on Xbox. They were being stuff, but no, this was sort of like a hype movement for the time. The whole trick skateboarding games, the BMX games, snowboarding games. A lot of that had base here. You might remember PS2, the SSX series, SSX Tricky, and all that. Yeah, here you go. Started with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which went to portable systems and everything else. Also, long survival horror, especially with the capital H on the horror, Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think this was a little bit more debated. I mean, it's obviously a staple game for the system, but we already have, obviously, Resident Evil 2 as a survival horror. I mean, these two games basically gave birth to the genre.
Yep.
What Resident Evil started, they really cemented.
Yeah. Speaking of cement or breaking cement, Twisted Metal. Specifically, this pick, Twisted Metal 2 or 3. Either one works.
Yeah. I don't think either one of us really know. I mean, I've played some Twisted Metal. I had one of them. I don't even remember which one it was.
Right.
But Twisted Metal was huge on the PlayStation.
Big deal. Then we also got Crash Bandicoot Warped. Crash was the PlayStation mascot early on. When you thought about the Sony PlayStation, this was the little animated dude you came to. And this was a super, super fun platforming action game. I love Crash, but I remember all the hype when he left, all the bad hype. I said, what? You can't leave. You're the mascot.
Yeah.
Deserves its spot. This next one really earned it. Opinion. Final Fantasy Tactics. This was one of the games Square made when they were still Square Soft. They were on a roll during this era, right off of the Hot Trilogy 7, 8, and 9, coming off of Super Nintendo and all the other cool stuff they made. Look, the Front Mission series is the only thing I'd compare to this, and Front Mission never quite hit in the US like it did in Japan, but Tactics, as its own game, has stood remarkably strong, both in terms of time and I think what this did for strategy RPGs, really important entry. So, this next one, and Chris and I had some fun talks about this and fighting games and everything else, the Mortal Kombat trilogy, and something I did not know about this, and I boldly admit to doing so, is that this folded the various storylines of MK and made one big game out of it.
It's they've got the arcade classes. No, this is one game. This is like basically the Ultimate Edition of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3.
It's awesome.
And it meshed the other games. It was great. It's one of the highest selling games on the PlayStation ever. It's a great game if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, which pretty much everybody that was a gamer back then. This was a huge game.
Yeah.
It was a huge game for the PlayStation.
Cool. Coming up next is Einhander. This was another one coming out of Squaresoft, but just in terms of the style of this, I love this. This was almost a mix of Contra meets funky 3D sci-fi action roamer meets extra platforming action. Really cool stylish game that always had a joy playing. The only thing I'd say reminds me of this currently would maybe be I was gonna say, not Xenogears. Frank, what was that?
What?
Mech game. It was big on PS2. I'm so sorry, I'm blanking out on this right now. And I'm not talking about AC. The mechs were called main mechs.
I really don't know.
Jehudi?
I could help you.
Jehudi?
Sure, we'll go with Jehudi.
I'm trying, man.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right. Maybe I'll remember it later. Anyway, Battle Arena Toshinden. We thought it was really important to look at early games on PS1. And
like really early games on PS1.
Yeah, this was the game I'd see right up front in Blockbuster Video when I'd walk in, and it was one of those games that just cemented, hey, welcome to PlayStation. You're stepping up. This is what you can expect. The bigger, bolder characters. You had weapon-based combat. You had hack and slash style fighting.
Battle Arena Toshinden was a freaking riot.
Yeah, it was.
I cannot imagine the amount of hours my friends and I, as teenagers, spent on this game, on this brand new console that one of us had gotten. I mean, so much Toshinden.
Good timing. Good stuff. Driver, another one on our list. This was, for me, this was early GTA, man. This was sandbox. Drive around. You drive some really seedy people, sometimes dangerous people around in even more dangerous situations. Really fun game. All kinds of goofy, crazy traps you ran through, and insane cops and tricks you did. Yeah, this was just a really fun game, even without free roaming as like a single character running around. So, last up on the RPG list was Legend of Dragoon, and this one had a real cult following behind it, but also this was one of those RPGs that by its own merit, in an era where Squaresoft ruled the house, here comes one right out of Sony Interactive that rocked, had truly its own unique system, had a lot of different ways you could play the game, was really, really cool and unique. And last but not least, and I love this Rebel pick. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver.
That's right.
This is a game that deserved it. You know, we had been up and down about, man, maybe Tomb Raider here, maybe not. But, you know, at the end of the day, Soul Reaver really carved out its own spot, especially because this was in a time where voice acting was like, oh my gosh, when you heard that. And this was a game you got that in. It had really fun action. Loved it. Loved it to bits. I think I played this in late 90s myself, about 99.
So we got a pretty expansive list of honorable mentions.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time going over this list to bring you what we thought was the best the best 15 added on to the 5 that we had no choice in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right. Out of those 5, most of them, I would switch out Gran Turismo 2 with Ridge Racer, but you know, whatever. Honorable mentions, there are a lot of them. Spyro, Oddworld.
Yep.
Tomb Raider, Gran Turismo 2, Parasite Eve, Dino Crisis, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Road Rash 3D, Valkyrie Profile, Destruction Derby, Mega Man, Armored Core, Spider-Man, Final Fantasy IX, Xenogears, Soul Edge, Doom. Did I miss any others?
That's it.
There's others, I'm sure, but that was on our
on our list.
I think we put together a good one. I think it's very interesting. I can't wait to see how we did. You know, and some of these things sometimes they're picked because of what they can get the license for, what they can't. You know, but we didn't put that into consideration too much. Most of it was picked on, you know, trying to encapsulate as best we can. Again, thousands of games down to 20.
That's rough.
It's stupid actually, but that was the task in front of us. So that's what we did. What do you guys think of our list? Again, just to go over it real quick: Final Fantasy VII, Tekken 3, Ridge Racer 4, Wild Arms, Jumping Flash, obviously, Castlevania Symphony of Night, Resident Evil 2, Metal Gear Solid, Parappa the Rapper. See, I can read. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, Silent Hill, Twisted Metal 2 or 3, Crash Bandicoot Warped, Final Fantasy Tactics, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Einhander, Battle Arena Toshinden, Driver, Legend Dragoon, I guess I can't. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. What do you think of our picks? What are your picks? That's also important.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know what your picks are. How close did we get to something that you would spend $100 on? How do you feel about this PlayStation Classic in general, especially in comparison to other bundle classic kind of mini consoles that have come out? I think we did a pretty good job. I think there's a couple in there that either one of us would probably swap out for the other, but ultimately, I wish there was 30.
Right.
But they said 20. There it is.
All right. There you have it. Hopefully, we're going to hear more from you guys in the comments. But until then, it's time for an Info Minute. All right.
How are you going to top this week?
Well, high tide kind of has a bit of a dual meaning to it. Look, okay, I'm sure everybody's been keeping track you can at least, of Hurricane Florence. Big deal. Look, if you hope no one out there is in harm's way. I hope you got well out of it. If you were in the path of this, you know that your family members, your friends, and everybody's all right. But this is a kind of odd story. It's happening that actually involved Florida beaches in the wake of this hurricane, and what's ended up floating there too. And this is almost like the scene out of some kind of stoner movie, something like that. So it turns out there's giant bundles of marijuana, apparently roughly like 5 kilo bricks that had been washing up in Florida shores.
High tide.
Yeah, no, bad joke. Ever since the approach of Florence and everything no one knows the exact source of these yet. Maybe it was either from a boat that got capsized by the storm or an airplane drop that didn't go right. But this set off a bit of a minor ethical dilemma. Beachgoers along Flagler, St. John's counties and the Daytona Beach area started to see all this stuff wash up and said, well, we grab it and run, or we call for the cops. And some of the calls that came in about this were swimmers fighting over it, wanting to take it and run off with it. Yeah. Other callers came and said, "No, I'm not taking it. I'm going to make sure that this remains where it is until the authorities come." and until they do something with it. So the authorities have been all over this trying to, trace things and figure it out. They have issued a stern warning that, look, this is not some kind of free week. If you're caught with this stuff, you're going to get booked. And
free week.
We're gonna, you're gonna get penalized. You're gonna get punished for it. So this was something that was likely all part of the same shipment where all this stuff came from. What's been captured so far got turned over to the Customs and Border Patrol for more investigation, and the agency hasn't gone too far into comments about it. But yeah, man, last thing you expect to fight over after a hurricane, some weed.
Well, for some, it's probably the best thing they could have.
Hey,
I want to know the story behind it.
Yeah.
There's a story behind the floating weed, and where it came from. What would you do, Ian?
Morally, if I saw this, man, I wouldn't even want to be near this. I don't smoke weed, for one thing. But besides that, this is just one of those zones that I just would not have any interest in even taking part in this, man. I mean, look, seriously, like,
you would see it and just walk away. You'd be like, nope, gonna go enjoy my day in the sun over here. I didn't see shit.
I just make a call and I leave it at that. I'm not gonna go jump into it. I agree. Look, let the authorities deal with that. I'm not about to go see how much marijuana I can pick up or what I can pocket. No, like.
My initial instinct while you were telling me the story was the same.
Right.
I just nope it and leave it alone. But then it changed.
Mm-hmm.
I would call the police.
Yeah, call the cops and let them do what they will with it.
Here's why. And it has nothing to do with the weed. It is the fact that cartels, gangs, or whatever that usually deal in weed in such high amounts and such mass of illegal drugs usually have their hands in other things that are even worse for people.
Yep.
And if letting the police know about this weed would help them to find those criminals and bust them for that and other things that are much worse, like sex trafficking, and other things, all kinds of horrible things, then yes, I would call the police. But not because of the weed.
Fair enough.
But because of what it could do. And in fact, I would probably be more inclined if it was me and I came across a bunch of weed.
Which effectively comes back to the weed. Yeah.
I would call the police and hold on to let's say I've got a giant bag of weed.
Right.
I would hold on to it and I would put it right next to me. And if anybody who walked by said, "Hey, can I have some weed?" I'd absolutely give them some weed. Because what's not important is all that the police get all the weed. It's only important that they get enough of it and the container it was in to be able to find the criminals. So I would get a little plastic glove and I would give people weed. I'd give, here, have some weed.
Keep that in the DL, man. I was looking the amount removed. There was a part of the story too. I know when the sheriff deputies actually showed up, one of the calls to deal with that, and there's someone they suspected had removed one of the bricks, and from the whole bundle itself that was still there, and they started asking about it. And the guy pointed over the vehicle saying, he's like, "Hey, look, I'm just holding this for law enforcement, or you guys can deal with." But the brick itself was weighing 11 pounds, and for some of that missing, the guy that got actually booked and charged with possession of marijuana. Over 20 grams. So careful.
Well, I certainly would not allow myself to get in trouble. So if that would be the case, then no one's getting any weed except for the cops.
Yeah. Careful, yeah, exactly. Careful.
But if I could give it out to anyone who asks without getting in trouble, I'd be Santa weed for the day until the cops showed up.
And you'd make a good Santa Claus. You got the height for it, man.
I would. I'd just be like, instead of a red suit, it'd be green suit.
Green suit. So festive.
With a big marijuana leaf on the back.
Oh, man. What would you all do with this? Post that up in the comments below. Maybe you've seen maybe it's some local in your neighborhood. I don't know. Maybe this story strikes a little closer to home. But hey, we'd love to hear from you guys. But that's gonna do it For us, for now,
That's it. No more show.
for this week, thank you all for tuning in. We're going to catch you again next time. Stay right here for more of our Let's Plays, our reviews as they come out, and, of course, more show. Peace out. Have a good weekend, everybody. Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it'd be great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksomedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, pick up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.